Everyone in Lisa's Care community, good morning. Thank you for joining us today, or afternoon for those of us who are in South Carolina. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. I wanted to introduce you to our speaker today. Her name is Leré Robinson. She's the founder of Alive Again, which takes the focus off of diets and denial and onto balance and health. So she's dedicated her life to helping us feel better through food. Most of the conditions today, as we'll learn, are caused by inflammation. She says, in fact, 6 in 10 Americans are affected by this chronic condition, which can show up in a number of different ways. So we are going to let Larae know, teach us a little bit more about inflammation, what causes it, and what we can do about it. So welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Alison, and thank you to Lisa's Care Connection for having me today. I greet you here out of Irmo, or from Irmo, South Carolina, out of Larae's barn. I'm sitting in Larae's barn. It is my happy place. It is my place that I share my passion with people, and it's just such a privilege to be here with you today. And I know I've done some other webinars with you, and to those of you who I have spoken to or with before, it's good to be with you again. To those who are new, I see there are some friends of Alive Again here. Welcome to you too. Well, they asked me to speak about inflammation, and inflammation is a very technical term. I can become very scientific in explaining it, but I really just wanted to share a few practical things that beyond this talk you can go out and apply. I find that in our westernized culture, we don't ask what, we don't ask why, we ask what. So, I have this that's wrong with me, what can I take? I have a headache, what can I take? There's a pill for everything. And don't get me wrong, there is a time and a place for medication, absolutely. But we have to dig deeper. And remember, we will never get to the root of the problem. We will never get breakthrough in our health or in a condition if we don't get to the root of the problem. So I want to quickly just start off by reading the following. I want to read the following to you. Inflammation in moderation is a healthy thing in your body. It's a marker of a healthy immune system that fights off invaders and brings necessary blood flow and nutrients to harmed areas. However, when inflammation is constant and out of control, it can wreak havoc and to your body and on your body's homeostasis. So inflammation in the body is normal. And, we're very familiar with inflammation that sometimes we can see. So if you have tonsillitis or your kid has tonsillitis and you go to the doctor, well, there's inflammation, there's inflammation of the tonsils. But the challenge is that because of the lifestyles we live, because of the choices we make, because we live in a culture where we run at 100 miles an hour like wild horses and we don't stop, we have this ongoing inflammatory response in our body that we don't see. And one day you just wake up and something's wrong, something chronic is wrong. And so my passion, my gifting, my expertise is really to come alongside of people and show them how to do it, because there's so much information out there, right? You would all agree. Not if you agree, I can't see you all now. But, there are so many diets. And I mean, in America, we have more diets, more supplements, more diet pills. We have the best healthcare in the world, in my opinion, because we are the most forward-thinking country in the world, in my opinion. Yet we are the sickest and we are the most overweight nation in the world today. Isn't that crazy? I want to have a t-shirt made that says, I wish common sense was more common. That is from a mentor of mine in South Africa, Joan. So I want to touch on just a few things. And then at the end, I'm going to show you one of the things you can do that you can make on a Sunday night, put in your fridge, and have all the ingredients. And I'm going to challenge you to do some stuff and include certain foods in your diet. So, and know that eating real whole foods from nature's pantry is delicious. You are not depriving yourself if you swap out a bowl of cereal, high sugar cereal that's dead and that's got no nourishment, for a healthy smoothie that brings your life to your cells. Because for me, that's what it's about. If nutrients don't penetrate the cells, it means nothing. And so what are we doing to keep our blood healthy? Because life is in the blood. If your blood is healthy, in turn, your cells will be healthy, and in turn, your organs will be healthy, and you have a healthy, nourishing, thriving body. And that's what we all want. So let's look at a few things that really are key when it comes to inflammation in the body. And the first place I want to start, because in my humble opinion, it's the foundation to your whole body, to every system in your body, and that's your gut. And so a lot of what I'm going to share with you all today, you probably know, I'm probably, preaching to the converted, but you've got to look at your gut, because your gut is where your good and your bad gut bacteria live, okay? And your gut is your first line of defense. 80% of your immune system starts in the gut. It's linked to everything else in the body. It's your foundation. But here's our challenge today. We have about 4 pounds of good and bad bacteria that is meant to live in harmony inside the gut. But guess what? On a daily basis, we are feeding our guts or our bodies pounds and pounds of refined, processed, chemicalized, dead food. So can you imagine these little bacteria that have to be there to jive around and hop around to keep your immune system strong, are being bombarded with all this food? So let me share with you. I'm going to keep it very practical. I want you to be able to understand it and even relay it to your children, because healthy eating needs to be simple enough for even a child to understand. But for some other reason, we've complicated it here, and we've got to get back to the basics. I want to encourage you today that it's not hard to eat healthy. It's just about having the knowledge, changing your mindset, and linking up to someone in your community who understands how to do it, and then help you, take your hand, or across the other side of the country, but to help you show you how. And so I quickly want to do a disclaimer before I start getting into it, that it's important for you to know that I'm not a registered dietitian. And so before you change your lifestyle or add any supplements, you need to make sure you run it by your healthcare provider or your registered dietitian. Today, I'm sharing the information is for educational purposes only. I love to help people, to educate people so that they can become knowledgeable and informed, and they can make their own decisions. Okay, so when you're back to the gut, when you're looking at the gut, you want to make sure that your good gut bacteria or good gut microbiome are healthy. And so what happens is when we eat refined processed foods, all those foods, the refined sugar, the refined carbohydrates break down into sugar in the gut. And the sugar feeds the bad gut bacteria. So what feeds the good gut bacteria? It's the prebiotics, pre meaning which comes before, it's the prebiotics which feed the good. It's the food that feed the good gut bacteria. And where do we find them? We find all of those prebiotics in different foods from nature's pantry. Your different fruits and vegetables contain good gut prebiotics, which feed the good gut bacteria. And so that whole thing is totally out of balance. A very high percentage of Americans are eating a lot of processed food. And we see this in our statistics today. And so what can we do? We can, to improve the good gut bacteria, what can we do? We can eat more fruits and vegetables, raw living fruits and vegetables. Remember, when we eat a whole wide variety of fruits and vegetables from nature's pantry, you increase your gut microdiversity. You bring in, you make those gut bacteria so diverse and they thrive. And then you need to starve the bad boys by not eating as many refined, processed foods, sugars, carbohydrates. And of course, there are a lot of things that affect your good bacteria. If you look in your environment, it's if you're on any prescription medication, your prescription medications and drugs mess and tamper with your good gut bacteria. Pesticides, insecticides, herbicides in your environment have a huge impact on your gut bacteria. So I live by that principle: do what you know to do, and the rest, there's nothing you can do about. There's nothing you can control. So if a lovely resource for all of you to check out is ewg.org. And they are a wonderful organization. It's a nonprofit organization where you can go and you can research what shampoos you are using, what household cleaners you are using, because a lot of us get to the beginning of the year and we want to go on diets and we want to detox. But the first thing I want to encourage you to do is detox your environment. What skin products are you using? What body cream are you putting on your body? What are you cleaning your home with? You've got to detox your environment. And so they have a wonderful list called the Dirty Dozen. You can go and Google it. And they will tell you what are the foods that are very high in pesticides and insecticides, and that it's important for you to buy organically. And then they have a list of 12 fruits and veggies that you don't really need to buy organic. And if you buy organic, you're actually just wasting your money because they are not really susceptible to all these pesticides and insecticides. So those things also diminish and deplete your good gut bacteria. And because we don't live because we're not a culture like Russia and India, etc., we don't eat a lot of fermented foods. I know here in the South, the previous 2 generations made their own sauerkraut, and that's great. So we need to include more of those foods that have probiotic activity that can help feed the good bacteria. So what are those foods? You can have things like sauerkraut, but make sure it's like the real McCoy. You want cabbage, salt and water, no other things in there. A tablespoon over your vegetables or over your salad, little things like that. It takes a 20% change to get an 80% result. Miso paste. Miso paste is fermented soy. Organic miso paste is great, especially now we're cold, we're in winter, halfway through winter. We eat a lot of soups and stews and broths. Buy a good quality white miso paste, take a tablespoon and throw it in your soup. Make pho bowls with lots of vegetables. Even if you're making a stew, put a tablespoon of miso soup in your stew. Water kefir. Water kefir is wonderful for probiotics. Kombucha, although kombucha is very good for the liver, which is a topic for another day, which is also very important, and I'm going to touch on it. Kombucha really has a very, very good cleansing effect on the liver, but it also has probiotic activity. Kimchi. So we need to be eating more fermented foods in our diet. So then if there's one supplement that I take every single day, and you can speak to a healthcare provider about it, but it's one of the supplements that I challenge people to take every day, is a good quality probiotic. And so not all probiotics are equal. And if you have questions in detail about a probiotic, you can email me afterwards. Alison is welcome to give out my website and my email for anyone that wants to ask me further questions after this. But please don't be fooled when a probiotic says it contains 5 or 50,000 different kinds of strains. The key is, are those strains getting absorbed or are they being passed out? So many of these things are just a sales gimmick. So a good quality probiotic, in my opinion, is critical for every one of us to take every day, because we're not exposed to all these fermented foods. And there are so many things in the environment that deplete your bacteria. Okay. Then the second area I would love to speak about is food. So your food, oh my gosh, I think the last statistics I saw is that, I'll keep that one for towards the end. Your food has a huge impact on inflammation in the body. So when your food goes through digestion, it's either going to leave an alkaline ash or an acidic ash. So if we look at food and we break it up in 2 columns. So on the left, we would have all our living fruits and vegetables, our fruits, etc. And on our right, we would have your meats and your proteins and your grains, what I call your grains. Most of us are eating the majority of our diet on the meats and the grains and the potatoes side, and very little are eating. I've done some research on my own, and I found that 70% of the people were eating the majority of the food out of the meats and the grains, versus 30% were eating from the fruits and vegetables. And so when we are eating processed foods, when we are eating out at restaurants, now there's nothing wrong with eating out now and again, but unfortunately in the American culture, it's become a very popular thing. We're too busy. We don't have time to cook. This is what I hear. But we have time to sit and watch Netflix, and we have time to sit and watch several seasons. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but I'm just saying, is it a priority for you? Because let me tell you, you have one body. And when this body goes, you can't change it in. Like if your car goes, you can maybe get a new car. You have one body. And all of us have a profound calling and purpose. And we are called to accomplish great and mighty and wonderful things and impact people's lives. Too many people have become happy with, oh, it's normal not to feel energy, have energy. It's normal to have this pain. And they've become happy with that. But at the end of the day, when we are eating out and we are eating all those oils that have been heated, canola oil, sunflower oil, to high temperatures, those oils become rancid in the body. They cause inflammation, and they rob the body's ability to absorb omega-3 fatty acid, which help to make prostaglandins, which reduce inflammation in the body. So I'm going to touch on that when it comes to what supplements I think are good to have on a daily basis. The biggest challenge we see today that is causing chronic inflammation, and I can speak about it for probably, I'll just watch the time, I can speak about it for 5 days. If you look at the endocrine system, one of your little organs that is part of your endocrine system is called your pancreas. Okay, so your pancreas is a little storehouse that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop because of what we do to it. And so there was this silly song years ago. Most of you all heard it or you heard your grandkids play it, but it irritated me. It was that song that says, it's all about the bass, don't worry. It's a stupid song. But for me, it's like, it's all about blood sugar, do worry. It's all about blood sugar, do worry. So for me, I cannot emphasize to you today how critical it is for you and me to make sure that we are not having insulin spikes throughout the day. Because we are seeing so many people whose pancreases are getting burnt out because of the abuse to that pancreas. And so, you know, I would pose the question to you, you know, are you a sugar burner or are you a fat burner? Are you burning sugar throughout the day or are you burning fat throughout the day? And so my trifecta of hormone-loving foods, of blood sugar-loving foods is fat, protein, and fiber. There's so much research that has come out on the connection of unstable blood sugar leading to high blood sugar being prescribed, you know, when you get to being diagnosed with high blood sugar, that leads to brain deterioration. So in my opinion, and you can do your own research, when you keep your insulin levels under control, you are doing your brain a huge favor, because we need a healthy brain. Our brains actually need an alkaline environment to function properly. Our brains, you know, I always say to people, if up to 60% of your brain is fat, what fat have you fed your brain? And that's not the fat on the fat back or the bacon that you had at Cracker Barrel this morning, if you're here in the South. Those are your essential fatty acids, your essential, listen to the name, they are essential to your well-being. So I say to people, what fat have you fed your brain today? Most of our children today do not have enough fat. They run out of the door and they've eaten a bowl of cereal, nutrient depleted cereal, and a cup of orange juice. And we expect those children to sit still in class and their brains to function properly. So we've got to get back to the basics. And so a huge percentage of Americans today, for those of you who have access in the chat box, I know the staff at Lisa's Care Connection don't. So I want to ask you a question. If you can throw in the chat box, if you are on chat, at the turn of the century, like way back, how many pounds of sugar per person per year do you think we were consuming? And you're not allowed to Google it. You've got to guess it. Per person per year here in America. Maybe I can have a look in the chat. Okay, they've enabled it. They've disabled it. Okay, so it was about 5 pounds of sugar per person per year. And last year, the latest statistics were that the average American is consuming between 132 pounds to 150 pounds of sugar per person per year. Can you believe it? And I bet you are saying to yourself, that's not me. I heard someone say that the other, it's not me. It's probably the person next to me eating my share as well, right? But here's the kick. It's all these refined sugars that's causing problems. Your refined sugar is one of the major driver to all the chronic conditions we have out there. And it's not the sugar that you get in your live, raw fruits and vegetables that contains all the colors of the rainbow, the polyphenols, the antioxidants and everything. It's the refined hidden sugars that the big food companies are putting in your food that you don't know is there. So I want to give you a little bit of a tool so that you can do your own sugar inventory, right? Because refined sugar is going to blow your pancreas. It's going to cause systemic inflammation, and it's going to cause you, the outcome is to be metabolically compromised. And you don't want to be in that situation, okay? So I'm not saying it's the fruit sugars and live, raw, living fruits. So here's a little homework. I want to challenge you all to take one day and go and do a sugar inventory. So the World Health Organization recommends that if you're a woman, you shouldn't be getting more than 6 teaspoons of added sugars a day. And if you're a man, I think it's 8 teaspoons of added sugars, okay? So if you are eating a granola bar and that granola bar says it's 1 serving, so when you check your labels, make sure you're looking on the labels to see how many servings you are eating, because many times there may be more than 1 serving, okay? But granola bars are usually 1 serving. Then you're going to flip and you're going to look at sugar and added sugars. So if it says 12 or 13 grams, you're going to say 12 divided by 4. So for every 4 grams of sugar on a label, that is 1 teaspoon of sugar. And I have people saying to me, oh my gosh, I thought I ate clean. I thought I ate well. And they call me after 1 day of tracking their sugars. And they say to me, by lunch, I had already overshot. I'd already overshot my 6 grams of added sugars. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what is getting America into trouble, is the high amount of refined processed carbohydrates and sugars. Where are these things lurking? They are lurking in your creamers, in your coffee creamers, okay? Per 2 tablespoons, there are sometimes 6 to 8 grams of sugar. And who puts 2 tablespoons of coffee creamer in their coffee? I mean, you put a lot more in that, right? Your granola bars, your cereals, your pasta sauce, your marinara sauces, read the labels. Some of these sauces have 12 grams of sugar per half cup. That's more sugar than an Oreo cookie per half cup of pasta or marinara sauce. Your flavored yogurts. Some of those flavored yogurts would say to you on the front, with prebiotics, with probiotics, okay? But they contain more sugar than a bottle of Coca-Cola. We have to become informed. We've got to become knowledgeable. So I'm not saying yogurt is bad. Now, dairy is inflammatory in the body. It is. It causes, so if you look at dairy, dairy is a protein, it contains 25 protein fractions, of which one is casein, which is very mucus forming in the body. So again, like I said at the beginning, every person is different. You've got to find out what your allergen is, what your culprit is, and you can work with your doctor or your allergist to find that. Once you've isolated that, because it's very different for all of us. Once you've isolated that, then you avoid the allergen and you start fixing the gut, because it's all about the gut. Anyone that has allergies and intolerances, it's a gut issue. You've got to look at the gut. So work with your healthcare provider. You can even do your own. You can test, your foods that are usually cause problems and allergens are soy, dairy, corn. So there are many of those things that can cause issues and that can cause inflammation. But again, remember, humanity is like a diamond with different facets. And, we all are humanity together, but we're all different. And what works for you, you may tolerate animal products a lot better than I would tolerate animal products. So at the end of the day, we are simply not eating enough fruits and vegetables. And because we are not eating enough fruits and vegetables, and it's also linked to the gut, is the average American is now getting between 12 to 15 grams of fiber a day. According to the Heart Foundation, American Heart Foundation, you need, if you're a man, 38 grams of fiber a day. And if you're a woman and a child, 25 grams. And if you're diagnosed with high blood sugar, you need 50 grams. So we are not eating enough fiber. Fiber in our bodies, a lot of the fruits and vegetables, like I said, are they feed your good gut bacteria, help your immune system to get stronger, but they also, fiber is hydrophilic, it bulks in the colon. So, and I'm not saying, your supplemental fiber, there's a time and a place for supplemental fiber when you travel or when life is busy and you're traveling and you're not going to be eating properly, and then you take your supplemental fiber with your protein, plant-based protein, and you buy little almond milks, and you can shake it up in a shaker cup. So there are many ways to stay healthy on the go, but we need to get back to eating real whole foods, because the fiber helps our tummies to work properly. Most people I speak to, they don't eliminate properly. Their transit time is not normal. So the food is sitting inside the gut because their transit time is sluggish, because the food doesn't break down a lot. So that food sits there and ferments. So a byproduct of fermentation is bloating, flatulence, gas, acetic acid. So we need to get eating more raw living fruits and vegetables. Maybe in California it's a bit different, but here in the South, we cook everything to death. Oh my gosh. I got such a culture shock when we came years ago. They cook the greens. Those greens are like khaki, or we say khaki green, you say khaki green. Oh, I just couldn't believe it. So a few of the things that I encourage you to do is, can you make one meal a day raw? Do you think you can have a smoothie once a day? And I'm going to show you how to make a nice raw smoothie with good fat and good fiber and good protein and green foods. Because your green foods are your most powerful healers, nourishers, cleansers, detoxifiers of the human blood. Chlorophyll is nature's house cleaner, but we don't eat enough greens. We don't, because so many people don't like leafy greens, or they have digestive issues when they eat leafy greens, okay? So we need to be, our bowels need to be working regularly. Every 3-4 days is not a good thing, especially for women. Women we're exposed to so many chemicals in the environment that mimic estrogen in our body, that attach to the estrogen receptor sites that can cause problems. And your liver is also critical. And because what we're seeing today, because of so many people with, our kids eating more refined sugars, it's the highest incidence of non-fatty liver disease that the medical profession is seeing. I know, I have several doctors who are personal friends, and it is shocking to see, and it's all diet related. So we got to start making some of these changes in our diets. Do you snack in between meals? If you do, maybe you can try and make one of your snacks in between your meals raw. So maybe you can have a tablespoon or 2 of hummus with some raw veggies, or you could have an apple with a monkey pinch full of nuts, walnuts, almonds. A monkey pinch is like that, a little pinch, a little bit. Okay, that's my word. Yeah, and then, if you are eating meat and 3 at night, do you think you can have a salad with your meal? Or if you don't have time for salad, quickly grab some raw beans or 2 or 3 raw tomatoes and eat that before you have your meat and 3 or your cooked food. It's all about making those small changes, adding the small things. You know, when we speak about stable blood sugar, every meal that you eat, do you have good fat? What is good fat? In the plant kingdom, your omega-3s are your hemp seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, walnuts. In your animal kingdom, it's all your fatty fish, tuna, mackerel, herring, sardines, trout, salmon. Your omega-6, remember your body cannot make omega-3, so we got to put it in. Otherwise, we become deficient. Your omega-6 are your nuts and seeds, your avocados, and omega-9s, olives, olive oil. So we need to be eating more of that every single day because our brains can't function without it. It helps to regulate blood sugar. Your whole endocrine system cannot function without the good fat. Your brain, your thyroid, your pancreas, your adrenals cannot function without essential fatty acids and vitamin C. Which leads me to the third and last point I want to speak about is stress. There's a big difference, you know, with regards to having stress now and again, you know, running hard for a season, for a short season. But here's the thing, we run hard every day of our lives. And somehow we have this lie that we tell ourselves that we can't stop. We've got to perform. Let me tell you, I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I'm not from your culture. I'm from South Africa. Although I've been living here for 14 years, I am now an American citizen and I'm proud to live in this country. Because the world has a lot to say about America. But let me tell you, I have never met a nation of people more generous, who understand a sense of community like the American people. They are unbelievable. And it is a privilege and a blessing for me to live in this country. So thank you for having people like us. But one thing I can say is we live in a culture where it's all about performance. It's all about performance. How can we perform? What can we? And that's okay. But if you are running at that pace, when you are running like a wild horse, 24/7, and you don't take time for whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, you don't take time for you, somewhere, something's going to give. It's like I say to the people say, oh, healthy eating is expensive. It's actually not. It's actually not. You just got to know where to buy, how to buy, and how to prep. Now, when you buy the gourmet stuff, healthy stuff, oh, absolutely. But let me tell you, I've been helped. I've been asked by an organization to go with people on food stamps and take them on a grocery tour just to change their mindset on, hey, do you know that if you cook rice, if you put equal quantities of rice and beans, that makes a complete protein? But at the end of the day, we have to make time for us. What are you doing? Especially as those who are caregivers, what are you doing to make time for you? What are you doing to put back into you? And so stress is a horrible thing. And I speak from a place of a woman. I'm knocking on 50. My hormones are shifting. As women, I'm going to speak, forgive me if we have men in the audience, but I want to speak to the women. As women, we fulfill so many diverse roles. We mothers, we wives, we business women, we teachers. Many women teach their children, they homeschool their children, they maintain their homes. We taxi drivers, we fulfill so many diverse roles. And we run and we run and we run. And one morning we wake up and we can't lift our head off the pillow. because we are exhausted. And so when we are running hard like that, a lot of inflammation happens in the body. So what are you doing on a daily basis to counteract that stress? One of the biggest things to diffuse stress in the body is to exercise, to get out in the natural sunlight. Do you know that when you go out in the natural sunlight, and I'm not saying look up into the sun, I'm saying even if you just sit underneath a tree, take your glasses off, take your contacts out. If you're blind without your thing, just sit and watch the haze go by, but let the UV rays penetrate your eyes, because that hits your pineal gland, and your pineal gland helps to make melatonin and serotonin and helps you to feel good. Melatonin, we sleep better. We need to get outside. You know, if we think about Florence Nightingale, everyone knew her. She used to open the windows in the hospital and let the fresh air come into we need to get out. I choose to meditate first thing in the morning. I meditate on God's word, and I sit in his presence, because that is what fills me. That is what gives me my plan of action and how I'm going to handle the stress. It's different for all of us. I'm just sharing what works for me. How else can you diffuse inflammation with regards to stress? With COVID and with all the isolation, and I hear California, Alison just told me, you're still on lockdown. We've lived in this matrix, and it's almost killed many people. Because if you are an extrovert and a people's people like me, you need that one-on-one. You need to touch, you need to hold, you need to see, you need to be with someone. So one of the things I want to encourage you every day is reach out to someone. You know, if you are under lockdown in a different part of the country, make sure you're connecting with someone. There's a huge difference with, you know, for me as a business, you know, I hate social media, I'll be honest with you, because I'm a small business owner, I'm the CEO, I do everything. And for me, you know, if you're a small business and you got to still do a social media page, it's like, it's a pack of wolves chasing you all the time. So that's a big stress for me. But at the end of the day, I've had to say to myself, if I only do 3 posts a week, I'm happy with that. Even though the algorithms say, you know, we've got to post several times a day, I'm not going to do that to myself. I tried at one stage and I depleted myself. But it's so easy for us. Yeah, you know, you've got all these followers and friends and, you know, and you post and you show and you do. But then that day goes by, you know, and what real interaction have you had with someone? And that the human race was born. We were made to fellowship. We were made to be in relationship. So I want to close off by sharing just some of the supplements. And then, you know, we'll do a Q&A. Then I want to quickly show you my smoothie that I want to demonstrate to you today. And I wish you were all here in my barn so that you can sip in pretty glasses, because life is too short to have a smoothie in a plain Jane glass. I'll show you the glasses that I use. But so these are the supplements for me that you can take lots of supplements. So in closing, this is what I want to say to you. What supplements are you using? What multivitamin and mineral supplements are you using? The supplement industry is over a $50 billion industry, okay? And there are many fantastic supplements on the market. There are many companies on the market that are fantastic. So all I want to give you is some guidelines so that you can make the right decision and not be wasting your money. So I used to do work with South Carolina Cancer Prevention. It's the University of South Carolina here. And the head epidemiologist there is Dr. James Aber. And I connected with him, and years ago, I started a whole series of wellness mornings for the public, to serve the community. And I got different speakers in. I got different vendors, and from the, because my heart is to support local people. So I went to the local farmer and I knocked on their door and I said, hey, all that kale in your field, how many bunches of kale can you, if you had to harvest all of that, how many bunches? And he said about 75. I said, I'll take everything. I said, on condition you give it to me on consignment, and I'm going to get my little girls to sell your kale and advertise you at my wellness morning. Then I went to the local beekeeper. So I went to local businesses and I got them involved. And we started out with 120 people. We finished with about 265 people. And I only did 6 of them, and I felt the season was done. But all that to say, Dr. James Aber was one of my speakers. And he got up and he said he wanted to encourage people that when they go for their annual checkup with their registered healthcare provider / doctor, that they recommend that he recommends that they request a C-reactive protein blood test. It's C-reactive protein, CRP. And there are many inflammatory markers, but according to Dr. James Aber, who's a professor in epidemiology at USC here, USFC, he recommends that we all do the CRP test. And he even said, if your doctor poo-poos it, you just tell him you want it. And so it's a very good inflammatory marker, but research has shown when you are drinking a good multivitamin and mineral supplement, or in a whole food state, or whatever you do, if it's good, it will actually help reduce, because nutrients are needed to help reduce inflammation in the body. We need nutrients to penetrate the cells. So the first thing I want to recommend or encourage you to do is get on a good probiotic. It's worth more than gold. Prophylactically, I'm on a probiotic. I've chosen to be on one, and I stay on one for the rest of my life. Secondly, know your numbers. Know what your vitamin D numbers are. Most people are depleted with vitamin D, but you need to know your numbers. We have people taking copious amounts of vitamin D, but always remember your fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, are very corrosive to the liver when taken in a synthetic form at a high dosage over a long period of time. So know your vitamin D numbers, work with your healthcare provider, and let him suggest a good vitamin D supplement, because vitamin D actually regulates hundreds of genes that regulate inflammation. Did you know that? So it's very important to make sure your vitamin D levels are at a good, within range. And then we need things in our body to help detoxify or boost detoxification. And so one of the things we need is we need to make sure that we have adequate amounts of things that help to boost detoxifying compounds in the body, like glutathione, which comes from the broccoli family, the cruciferous vegetables, your broccolis, your cauliflower, your Brussels sprouts, your kale, things like that. Because when we eat those compounds, they help to increase glutathione in our bodies. A lot of people don't care for the cruciferous vegetables, so they opt to take a supplement like NAC, N-acetylcysteine, which helps to increase glutathione in the body. And then essential fatty acids. Not many of us are going to eat essential fatty acids, enough of them every day. And so a good quality essential fatty acid is very, very important. For children, or for people who don't like to swallow pills or capsules, there's a very good brand at the vitamin shop called Barleans, and they have omega swirls, which are great because they taste like yogurt. They're flavored without any nonsense or bad stuff, and you can just have them with your breakfast or pop them in your smoothie. And yeah, we've had so many children that really benefit, and adults. So that's just a good quality essential fatty acid supplement. But you can do your own research. And then I love a concentrated green juice powder. So again, your green foods are so nourishing and cleansing and detoxifying. For 25 years, I've used a concentrated green juice powder. I put it into water, and man, within 15 minutes, it's through my mucous membranes into my bloodstream, and I know I'm getting concentrated nourishment. So when, we can lean in and out of these supplements as we need to. And then zinc, vitamin zinc is also helps against inflammation. So those are just a few things I wanted to leave with you. Remember, I want to encourage you. It's the little things we do every day that have a profound impact on our health. And it's just about making those small changes and getting back to eating from nature's pantry. When you are buying anything in a box, remember, the road to ongoing health detours around fast food outlets. It detours around the middle aisles in the grocery store. When you are buying food that comes in a package, read your labels. How many ingredients are on there? 3, 4, 5 real food ingredients that if you took that and made it in your kitchen, it would be the same. When something has got 25 ingredients in, or 10 or 11 or 12, there's a problem. It's processed. So yes, we do buy packaged foods like rice and quinoa and all that stuff, but try and buy your things that are not as processed. Remember, the big food marketers, those things are not made for our health. When you eat foods from nature's pantry, those things are made for our health. They contribute to health and wellness and for you to be vibrant. So remember, it's all about progress and not perfection. None of us are perfect. And for those of you who know me or get to know me, for me, life is about finding the balance. I run from fanaticism. So I hope that you all enjoyed that. I think there's time for Q&A. Alison, maybe if there are any questions, we can do a question time now, or would you like me to quickly show you about how to make the smoothie and then do Q&A? What would you like to do?
We can do, hey, it's me, it's Katie. Whatever you would like to do. Do you guys have questions? Yeah, we got some questions for you.
Okay, sure.
Sure. Okay, let's start with Mr. Warren.
Are sweet potatoes good for you?
Are sweet potatoes good for you?
Yes, sir. So here's the thing. Sweet potatoes are a lot more healthier than the big old white potato. But this is what I want to challenge you. Sweet potatoes have a lot of fiber. Look at that color. They have that color, the carotenoids, which are very high in beta carotene. But if you eat a sweet potato on its own, what do you think it's going to do to your blood sugar?
I don't know, make it go up, I guess.
Yes, but here's the deal. What else are you eating with the sweet potato?
Sugar.
No. No.
I don't put anything on it. I use it plain.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say is, what protein have you got on the plate? Maybe drizzle a teaspoon of olive oil over that, or put some avocado on top of that, or take a little bit of walnuts or pumpkin seeds. So when we add the fat and the fiber, we break this. You don't have such an insulin spike. So it's all about how you combine it. But absolutely, sweet potato is very good for you.
Yeah, I like olive oil, so that's a good idea.
Yes, sir. Yes, and let me tell you, a delicious quick meal if you're busy is is you oven roast a sweet potato. So you bring out all those natural, sugars, and they caramelize, and then you cut it open. And then in there, I like to put a bit of black beans, some red onions, some cilantro, some avocado. I put some spinach, and I mix all of that together. And oh my gosh, sprinkle it with some pumpkin seeds or something. And there you have the most delicious meal. Quick, 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 quick.
Yum. Good idea. Anyone else? Somebody write that down. I know, someone grab a piece of paper. I love it. Oh, anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
What do you recommend as a vitamin D range?
A vitamin D range.
Okay, so you can speak with your different healthcare providers, but I know the medical profession is a little bit, if you go to a MD versus a integrative doctor, I do know that the integrative, so it's not me saying this, I know that integrative doctors want you to have a vitamin D level between 50 and 80. So again, that's why you need to speak to your doctor, because if your vitamin D levels are low, your doctor's going to recommend, whether they recommend a certain amount, because they understand for 3 months or for 5 months, and then they're going to say to you, let's check again. And then when your vitamin D levels are okay, then they probably recommend that you just take, the daily amount. So, but getting out in the natural sunshine, and I know it's hard now with winter, the South, from Atlanta down, we don't have a problem. We have no excuses here in the South. So every day, whether I'm walking or I'm just sitting out and taking a time for a cup of tea, I pull up my sleeves, or I pull up my jeans, and I just expose my skin for, for a certain amount of time, just to get some sunlight on my skin.
Can you OD on that? No. Can you get too much via the sun, and if you're taking supplements?
No. The body will, you can OD on supplements. That's why I'm saying you must work with your healthcare provider. Know your vitamin D numbers you got to know. If someone says, what's your vitamin D, you need to be able to tell them.
I don't know. I didn't get.
What was the website she said at the very beginning?
And the website that you gave at the very beginning?
Yeah, so I have a website with all my recipes. It's www.aliveagainonline.com. And then my Instagram is at Alive Again LLC. My Facebook is at Alive Again LLC. I did used to do a newsletter every month, but from this year, I've decided I'm going to do it every second month. So there is a sign up for my every second month newsletter on my website. And I usually speak about a certain topic. I give you recipes, and it's just a very quick, but a practical, very helpful little newsletter. And my South Carolina ETV segment will probably be in there this February.
Awesome. We had a question on the chat. Are there specific exercises or activities to reduce inflammation?
Well, cardiovascular exercise is so important. I cannot tell you, when we exercise, we positively affect over 18 endocrine hormones, and every endocrine organ in the body just falls in line and benefits from it. So again, I can't prescribe exercise for everyone because the reason I say that, it's a very personal thing. If you are sitting with someone who has burnout, well, the last thing that they're going to want to do is go and run or do CrossFit, because running and CrossFit are two sports that secrete high amounts of cortisol. And when you are adrenally exhausted, you don't need extra cortisol going through your system. So, but again, I love, walking, brisk walking. You've got to get out there, get your heart rate up, 45 minutes, get that heart rate up at your pace. But again, you know, make sure you check with your healthcare provider that you're healthy enough to exercise. And then, of course, when you're going through my season of life, which is the autumn season, I can't tell you how beneficial weight-bearing exercises are. You know, getting weights, because, you know, we need to keep that bone healthy, right? So yeah, but I love walking. It's just, you can do it anywhere. You don't need a treadmill. It just affects so many areas in your body.
I like that suggestion. We're thinking about creating a walking group, so
Yeah.
Good idea.
Well, maybe if we just, I know we're going over, but do we have time for me just to show you the smoothie?
Yes. Is anyone able to stay?
Yes.
Okay, we'll watch. And if you
Okay.
need to leave, thank you for coming, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon. But yes, here I'm going to mute you again, Miss Lear, so you're not getting our background noise.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to move this. Okay. So one of the things I like to do, sorry, I'm looking down at you because I haven't lifted enough. So one of the things that I like to do on a Sunday evening is in a blender, and I won't physically make it, I'll just explain to you because of time. But in a blender, I take a good quality coconut water. Okay. And these coconut waters, the ingredient is just coconut water. So I take a good quality, low sugar coconut water. It doesn't have any sugars, but for some other reason, some coconut waters have 8 grams per cup, others have 16. So just get a low sugar coconut water. And so 4 cups to a blender, you put 4 cups of coconut water. And then, excuse, but I'm South African, so you all can go to Google and say, convert grams into ounces. So in that, you're going to put 4 cups of coconut water, and then turmeric. Turmeric, I cannot tell you, turmeric is so anti-inflammatory, and it's excellent for the brain as well. Amazing research on brain health. And most people buy turmeric supplements. But what I do, I measure about 100 grams of turmeric. I wash it. I chop it up. Just wear gloves because it will stain your fingers. I chop it up to my blender. And then I put about 80 grams, 50 to 80 grams of ginger. I chop it up. And if it's organic, you don't even have to peel it because you're just going to blend it all up. And then I put about 1 or 2 peppercorns, black peppercorns, because pepper helps the turmeric to absorb a lot better. Then I blend it, and I blend it for quite a while. And then I throw it through a nut milk bag, or you can use a cloth that you don't care for because it's going to turn orange. And after that, I juice an organic lemon, and I strain out the seeds, and then I pour that in. And then I pour it into a bottle like this. And I have the most delicious tonic that is so anti-inflammatory. Most of us walk around dehydrated. We don't drink enough water, which is also so important for our brain, for our joints. There's a doctor, he's an Indian doctor that wrote the most phenomenal book. It's called The Body's Many Cries for Water. If you want to read a brilliant book on the criticalness of hydration, that is the book to read. Then I put it in here, and you can either warm it up and drink it warm, or you can use it as a base to a smoothie. So what I do in my blender cup, I had 3/4 cup of this. I add an apple. I add chia seeds or hemp seeds. I add a handful of spinach or kale, and then I add ice. And oh my gosh, I blend it all up. And once it's blended, I add a monkey pinch full of almonds, and then I just sort of pulse it, because when I drink it, I like to chew the almonds. And there you have the most delicious smoothie. And I'll put the recipe on my Instagram page today. The most delicious smoothie that is so anti-inflammatory with all the good fats. There's protein, there's fat, there's fiber, and your liver just loves it. So just wanted to encourage you. There are many ways. And then what I did was I made hummus, just quickly show you. And so I always encourage people, try and get your things in real food. There is a time and a place for supplements, but, you know, when you can, you know, when you're making a soup, a lentil soup, maybe put half a teaspoon of turmeric with the leeks and the celery and the carrots and the garlic. It's the little things we do. So I did a butter bean hummus. And what I did was I grated fresh turmeric in there, and look at that. And it's so nice. Instead of chickpeas, I soaked butter beans and I did a butter bean hummus. So there's many ways. And I hope that you were all encouraged today. And please feel free, if you have any other questions, you're welcome to email me through my contact notification page. And it was a privilege being with you today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. We all enjoyed it, learned so much. I'm so happy I'm going on the
Can I
right
ask
page
one
with the
question?
turmeric. Yes, ma'am.
Do you peel the turmeric before you make your smoothie?
Do you peel the turmeric?
Okay, so if your turmeric is not organic, I just take the backside of a non-serrated knife and I peel it. But if it's organic, you don't need to peel it. You can just wash it properly, cut it up, because you're going to put it in your blender and blend it.
Okay.
And then you're going to strain it through a nut bag or a cloth. And then you add your lemon juice, and then you pour it into your, into your bottle.
Okay.
So it'll be strained by the time you do that. But I mean, just look at that color. Just look at that.
Is that your meal or is that just a snack?
No. So you can actually make that, if you can make it as a snack, but for me, I sometimes have that as a morning smoothie. Then I add more almonds, because I need the protein in there. But also, if you come back, like my daughter, when she comes back from school, that's what she makes, but she doesn't make it with the almonds. She just makes it with the apple and, the ice and of course the spinach. And she has it as a snack after school. So you can do it either way. But again, in closing, I think we're obsessed with calories in this country, and calories are important. But I want to close off and leave you with this. When you're eating a plate of food or you're drinking a drink, ask yourself, what impact are these is this meal or this drink going to have on my body chemistry?
Good point.
Good. Yes.
Very good.
And one more.
Again, excuse me, your website and or email. again.
I'll get, yep,
You'll have that.
I'll have it for you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Do you have handouts up there?
I'll get you guys some information.
Thank you. You're
Thank
wonderful.
you,
Thank
Miss
you so
Leah.
much.
Yes, awesome. We enjoyed you so much. Yes.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Larae.
Oh, thank you, Alison. And always a privilege to be here with you guys. Bless you all.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.